Welcome. Beware. Go on, and you do it.
Happy Halloween.
All right, I see what you did
Hello.
there. You led me into a trap, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Before we went on air.
You're not going to do any horror host stuff.
No.
No.
Well, I'll get my tits out like Elvira.
Oh, there we go then.
Yeah, Elvira's tits.
You're very much the modern day Elvira. I
am. Yes.
No, what I was going to say, I was always a bit disappointed when they did the Tales from the Crypt TV series, and you saw the Crypt Keeper had that quite high-pitched like that.
Yeah.
And somehow, and they might have got it right, but somehow that's not what I heard when I would read like old DC comics.
No, I agree.
I don't want a high-pitched Crypt Keeper.
No, I wanted like maybe a raspy voice.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Not a deep voice, but like a raspy voice, you know.
Yes. Maybe, I tell you what I think we might have been correct, even though it was Zelda from Terrahawk, something like that.
Yeah.
Although I can't really...
Well, she was quite squeaky and
I don't remember.
whiny, wasn't she?
But I think she was much scarier than the Crypt Keeper.
Oh, she was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it wasn't in the slightest bit frightening.
No.
And it's amazing, actually, because there's this... Because, you know, there's a Creep Show TV show now.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. But it's on a massively low budget, and the technology is no better, because they've basically got a Crypt Keeper as well.
All right.
But the technology is no better. It's still a fucking sock puppet.
All right.
Yeah. It's all right, actually. I don't mind the new Creep Show.
Is it? It's, then, what's that on then? Is it on a network or?
It's a Shudder thing.
All right. Oh, okay.
So it's like it's just like a pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, but like a subscription channel.
I still haven't seen any of the. I don't suppose you'd even call it new now because it's a couple of years old. But they rebooted the Twilight Zone as well, didn't they? With John.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen a few of them.
How are they?
Okay, not. It's not Rod Serling.
Right.
But they're all right. They're okay. I'm not going to go any further than that.
There's a lot of good voices on Terrahawks as well, because of course our old friend Windsor Davis was the voice. Well, I'm assuming it was Windsor Davis or some very good Windsor Davis imitator.
No, I think it was Windsor Davis.
Yeah, I've never actually looked it up, but I'm assuming it's Windsor Davis.
I think it was Windsor.
He was like the leader of the, like, there was bombs. There was like self-exploding bombs, right? That had voices. And there was like a platoon of bombs.
Yeah, my connection just dropped out for a second.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I had to guess what you were saying.
Yeah, I thought I'd paste over it. So.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's okay. I ruined that.
But anyway,
yeah. Welcome to our spooky show.
That's right. Yes.
Ychyfys Halloween special.
Yes. And we've dug up kind of like a corpse. You see what I did there?
Yeah, we've got into the vault, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah. We're in the tomb, and we've dug up a couple of Ychyfys Kung Fu adjacent. Well, that's 3. Yeah.
Well, three and a bit, really, isn't it? Well, no, it's 3. It is 3. Yeah.
So we did. Well, we're going to do Devil Woman and its sequel, BRUKA, Queen of Evil.
Yeah.
Then we're going to do. I don't know, how do you pronounce?
I was going to say the same thing. I've been saying in my head, which I know is wrong, but I prefer this. I like the sound.
Yeah.
I've been saying SUCCUBARE.
Oh, that sounds all right. Do you think that might be wrong?
I think it's probably SUCCUBARE. Probably.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think it's an English word.
It is actual.
It sounds Italian.
SUCCUBARE.
Oh, fucking hell, here we go.
Yeah.
Is that how you've been saying it? And you're right.
No, I've avoided saying it in my head until now.
Yeah. I've been saying SUCCUBARE, but yeah, well, the other version is Princess and the Toxicant, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, if anyone does not, because it's not a word I don't think I've ever actually heard outside of this film.
No. But I think it is in the dictionary. I think it's just an interchange. I think it's just means succubus.
Oh, I see.
I think it's just another way of saying succubus.
Which is a bit of a stretch. I suppose they could be succubi, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's that whole entrapping men thing, I suppose, isn't it? Which is what succubi do.
Right.
Yeah. So so I picked my pick because I picked the snaky ones. So I've been calling it Manda just because it's a silly name.
Okay.
Which is the alternate one of the alternate titles. And I did that because I'd never heard of this. I'd never heard of Evil Snake Girl. What's the other one? Hungry Snake Woman.
No, it's not.
Or Devil Woman.
This is why I stayed.
It's Devil Woman on the tag, isn't it?
Yeah, I stayed away from anything that isn't Devil Woman because because there is so much confusion to this day, right? I think I've got it sorted in my head exactly what it is now, but yeah, I think Hungry Snake Woman is one of the Susanna films out of Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. Okay. Yeah.
So we should. Yeah. So, well, you go ahead and you carry on, and then we'll get into a bit of sneaky.
So because this is one that opens up some rabbit holes for people to go down, for us to go down anyway. But yeah, I'd never heard of this. I'd never seen. Actually, I think I might have seen the film poster at some point in history and was struck by it and then never worked out what it was and forgot about it.
Right.
But anyway, it's got a very, 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 very evocative poster, which unfortunately gives the whole game away for the plot of this film. And yeah, I just saw someone on Facebook was selling a copy of the VHS, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. That looks a bit, and then I looked into it, and it turns out it's got some foo in it by some world-class choreographers. Not that they're doing their best job in this. And I thought, oh, that'd be all right. And then it turns out there's a sequel.
Did you buy the VHS?
We watched them both. No.
Oh. Who was selling the VHS? Was which country's VHS? Do you know?
I'm reasonably sure it was Japanese.
Ah, okay, all right.
Yeah,
because it did. Because from what I could figure out, it did come out. I think something weird released it at some point, right?
Oh, maybe that's where I saw the video cover of the poster.
Right, but I think that
would make sense. Yeah,
I was looking up. Apparently, their version was missing the ending.
Oh,
apparently.
Okay.
And it seems as if was it this one or was it the sequel? Did get an US release in theaters at some point. I think it might have been the sequel, but then but when we get the sequel, that ended up. I think that only resurfaced quite recently, right? But yes. So sticking with this first one for now, if you look it up online, people seem to be a bit confused, right? So we should say it's a Hong Kong Philippine co-production. I think shot like from 72 into 73
Yeah.
and then released in 1974.
Yeah.
And I would guess more or less filmed back to back with the sequel as well.
No doubt. Yeah,
which
no
didn't come
doubt.
out until 75.
Yeah.
But there's a confusion because there's an earlier Filipino Devil Woman from 1970. People confuse this with the sequel. And so there seems to be this weird kind of subgenre almost of women with snake hair films, right?
Yeah. But the superhero films, specifically the comic book adaptations from the Philippines.
Well,
so
you might have discovered more than I did here, but from what I could figure out, so because you did send me a link, and also I found another source that mentioned this as well, but it seems as if specifically this Devil Woman version seems to be copying a character from the Dana comic.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah, Valentina, isn't it? That's the character's name.
Yeah, or Medusian as well. I think I haven't read the Dana comics, but
no,
I'd be quite interested in that's all I know about Dan. I've looked, obviously they mention it in the Monte Macabro book, and it pops up. But for some reason, I've never actually got round to watching any Dana films. Have you?
No, not at all. I had a quick look. I had a quick look at the most recent one.
Yes, yeah.
So there's a few clips on YouTube, which seems to be kind of the finale, where our villain transforms into the snake-headed version of Valentina.
That's in the new one as well, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, because I wasn't sure how prominent like a character villain in the front. I thought it might be an obscure reference, but it's actually quite well known.
Yeah. And there's and there are a series of adaptations from the 50s onwards, all featuring this Valentina character, who
that's interesting,
who Manda is based on. Yeah. But what's really interesting, actually, because I went down the kind of comic book adaptation rabbit hole, Philippines comic book. So I went down the kind of the Dana comics adaptation, and Dana's basically kind of like a Wonder Woman type superhero character.
Right, that's what I was led to believe.
Yeah. Valentina, who is the Gorgon snake-headed kind of character, she's like the kind of the main villain, or the most, she's like the Lex Luthor to the, to Dana's Superman. She's that's the level of the kind of echelon that this villain's at. Right. But there's been a number of adaptations, so there's probably like 8 or 9 adaptations from the 50s onwards.
Right.
But if you Google film adaptations of Dana with Valentina in, who's the Gorgon-headed character, these films don't appear at all. Although they are knockoffs.
Yes.
Because obviously they don't use the name.
Right.
It's Manda. But yeah, it's quite interesting that, there's this kind of, there are these either film buffs or comic book buffs, fanboys, who are they maybe not aware of these films, or are they just disregarded because they're knockoffs?
Right, not canon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but it is clearly, but it's interesting that it is something that you need to do a bit of research for it, and because the thing with Dana is it's massive in the Philippines, right? So I think if you were to show anyone from the Philippines Devil Woman or BRUKA, they would immediately put 2 and 2 together, right?
Yeah.
I think outside of the Philippines, not so much. And you have to look around before you make that. Because even the thing about in the second film, she puts the little stone in her mouth and makes the snakes disappear.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's something that is in the Dana comics as well.
Yeah.
And there's also
yeah.
a big snake with the old woman's head and all that stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting to stumble across this. It's certainly put front and center for me the need to get into Dana, I think.
Yeah. I must admit that the latest comic book adaptation does not look like it's much cop.
Right.
But there's one, apparently one very good one from the 70s, and
right.
there's this kind of lost one from the 50s that they've only got a bit of footage from, which I had a look at. Actually, looks really good. Looks actually quite well made.
Yeah, there are some 70s 80s ones, right, which are about as well with subtitles, and it's something I've always met. I don't know why I've always felt, I think, ever so slightly intimidated by, because there seems to be so many of them, and then there's also Dana spin-offs as well, right? Like I think there's some other characters who get their own franchises. So I've always just been slightly intimidated by not quite knowing where to start.
No. But anyway, so reading around this, reading around these couple of films, massive rabbit holes, comic book rabbit holes, and actually other film rabbit holes to go down. But that doesn't really explain why the fuck we're talking about it in the first place as a kung fu film podcast.
Right.
So, to sort of explain that and explain my thinking, is obviously it's a Hong Kong co-production with Philippines, but it's also got some very interesting fight choreographers.
Yes.
So Korean Kwai, Yin Bun, and Bronda Yin.
Yeah.
So 7 Little Fortunes plus a bit of Yin Clan.
Yeah.
Very, very early outing for them. So I think they've probably only been on two or three films before this.
Yeah, no, it's interesting from that point of view. You wonder how often this film comes up in Yin Clan fandom as well, right? But it's funny, I think they did both films, right? They appear in the first one, right? They're on screen as thugs or something.
Yeah.
But it's funny, from the first film, you wouldn't necessarily, I mean, there's not much of a showcase, really. But the second...
No, it's good.
Yeah, but the second one is interesting, I think, even though I don't think the madness of it is necessarily down to them. But it is interesting to consider that it's, I suppose in some ways, you wonder if it fed into Miracle Fighters stuff a little later down the line, right? Just in terms of that bonkers stuff we did in the Philippines years ago.
Yeah. I suppose so. I wasn't thinking in those terms, actually.
No, it only just occurred to me now, actually.
Yeah, you might be onto something, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, interestingly, for me, the choreography for the period, I think, is on point. In the first one. What are we calling this? We're calling it Devil Woman.
I think that's probably the safest.
Devil Woman. Yeah.
And I think...
So I think Devil Woman...
Sorry, because the confusion as well, I think if we're going original Chinese language titles as well, or Cantonese, I think the first one is Xiao Jing, and then the second one was Shen Nangu Nu, I think.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. I don't know what those words mean.
Neither do I. And I probably butchered them as well, but yeah.
But yeah, I think certainly in this one, I think that you can see that there are some fight choreographers who know what they're doing in it.
Right.
So it's on a basher level, but it's good quality basher. You know, it's good quality basher food, isn't it?
With snakes.
With loads of snakes. And this, I mean, this one also has definitely got a higher budget than the second one. Because it just seems better made.
Right. Even though the second one needs more of a budget because they're more ambitious, right?
Yeah,
so,
well, they've kind of squandered the budget, I suppose, haven't they? On you know, on silly fucking rock monsters and an old woman who's also a fucking snake who wriggles around the place.
So before we get into it here, I just wanted, because it was quite interesting for me to find all that Dana stuff, because I was always confused as to, because, you know, we always like to know what the text before you know, Yumi and Nick went on a bit of a palaver about the whole 5-element ninja thing, and it's kind of interesting to try and source or where did multicolored ninjas come into it or things like that.
And
I was always wondering. So I was aware of. So there's a series of. Well, see, I'm not entirely sure now, but there's this series of Cambodian, surprisingly, snake girl films.
Oh, I didn't come across that.
I've seen one of them, I think. Dai Saveth starred in these like loose series with the snake, and then there's the Snake Girl Drops In, which is another one I've seen, and then there's a few other ones. Maybe it's difficult to tell without actually watching the films what they are, seeing posters, right? Because they might just be woman who turns into snake or snake woman. But I've definitely seen at least two, one Cambodian one and Snake Girl Drops In, which was maybe Taiwanese, where it's the snake girl thing and it's the hiding it under the cap and all that is exactly the same. And
great,
and I think the films I saw were post 1974, so that makes sense. It's Dana, this film rips them off, and then there's another series of films that rip them off. So and then in the 80s, Susanna was in a series of at least 3 Indonesian woman with snake hair films. Or at least one of them was snake hair, I think. So so it's a thing. And obviously you have Medusa as well. But but it's just interesting to me. I was always curious where it came from, and I think we've hit on it. I think it's the Dana. I think that makes sense.
Well, I mean, Dana, you know, Dana predates the earliest Dana film predates predates any I've lost the thread of what I'm saying now. Anyway, sorry, but there's a Dana film with a very, very similar ending to Devil Woman, actually. It's on a cliff, and the headgear is very similar, and they're obviously emulating this. And I think it's like 1951 or something. It's like a really early film. So this kind of, you know, this predates any I would say any other import from elsewhere, you know. And this film certainly does seem to be ripping off of the 1950s version. Right.
Well, interesting is that you wonder if there's anything in the interim as well, because I mentioned one of those Cambodian films comes from 1970, but again, I'm not sure if there's snake hair involved or it's just snaky shenanigans. But there's quite a gap there from 50s to, you know, mid 70s. So interesting to see if there was because the other potential thing to this as well, right, is in the early 70s, Willard is a big hit. And then you get all the young men, women with animal knockoff, specifically William Griffith's Stanley and then in Hong Kong you get killer snakes, and
Yeah.
and Jennifer, is it the girl with snakes, the American one? So
yeah.
that might have reinvigorated the idea of young people with animals on. Oh, and do you remember the thing from Dana? We could do the snake head, and
yeah.
which apparently is quite interestingly, according to Yukio Somino, sorry, who's in both these films.
Yeah.
According to his reminiscences, that wig was made from real snakes.
Yeah, you can tell.
Assuming dead.
They fucking move around. No, they move around.
Yeah, I suppose it's that fucking, yeah. That's
It's fucking crazy shit there.
Yeah, so this is just to, yeah, I just wanted to kind of put the context of confusion that I was coming at this from. If nothing else, I'm quite glad to have sorted that out, at least a little.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't think we quite sorted it out.
No, like we said, there's that gap as well. There's that.
But we found some nice fertile ground, haven't we?
We have a foothold.
Kind of. Yeah. So we're gonna dig around a bit because I like this shit. I love this shit. And there's something about that, there's something about that archetypal image of a woman with snakes for hair, and it's done. The headgear, the makeup is actually pretty good.
Yeah, well, you can't go wrong with real snakes.
With real fucking snakes, yeah. And actually, the makeup in the headgear in the second one's even better, I thought. In BRUKA, but and also the kind of makeup effects with the eyes. So Manda's got the ability to like control snakes. Yes. And every time she controls snakes, her eyes turn gold. And it's a really simple effect, just with some contact lenses and some light. But I thought it was really, really effective. I thought that special effect was really, really good.
Yeah, it sells it, doesn't it? So, did you watch a subtitled version, or was it dubbed? The Devil Woman you watched?
Oh shit! No, you're asking.
So I think the link you sent to me.
Yeah.
Because these are on YouTube. I think.
Yeah, no, it's dubbed.
I was okay. So we might have watched the same version then. About 95 minutes, right? Because there is another version I found, which was subtitled, I think, but looked the same because it's quite a nice print. Like not proper HD, but pretty well cleaned. And which was shorter, but I think that might just be frame rate thing. I've not different versions of this other than the one Something Weird used to put out apparently, which was the last.
But this one, the one I saw was a lovely print. It was white.
Yeah, I think we watched
it was good.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So what's the plot then? What's going on here in?
So there's a girl born in a thunderstorm.
Yes.
And in a little.
Might even say in a crossfire hurricane.
Well, there we are. Quite right. Quite possible. Anyway, she gets born, and her dad gets all frightened and wants to kill her, and her mother loves her, and then they bring her up, and you never see what's wrong with her.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
You never see what's wrong with her, and then you cut to Manda, she's called. You cut to Manda as a little girl, and she's wearing a headscarf, and she's not really got any friends, but she's got one little friend, and she finds out that she can control snakes, and get snakes to do her bidding. But she's bullied at school, and then they find out her secret, i.e. what's underneath the headscarf, and she gets in some fights and causes trouble, and she may actually kill some kids. I can't quite remember. And then the townsfolk go after her and her parents, set the hut on fire, kill her parents, but she escapes. And the film then focuses on Manda's campaign of revenge against this village. All the while, there's a kung fu film going on, which is almost fucking unrelated to the to the Manda revenge plot, which is what's his name? I've got it written down. That's it. Whose face annoyed the fuck out of me. Yeah. But I don't like him.
I was indifferent, I think.
Yeah.
By the way, while you were talking there, just to get an insight into how my brain works, I put 2 and 2 together and got 96 and went down. I was listening to you, but at the same time imagining this also. Recently on Podcast on Fire, they did From Beijing with Love.
Yeah.
And From Beijing with Love, weirdly, has a non-hardcore clip in the middle of it on a TV screen of educating Mandy, which is one of the underage Tracy Lords.
Oh.
Strange enough.
Okay.
So yes, I immediately conflicted educating Manda, starring an underage Tracy Lords, with a head full of cocks that come out. And she sucks them and stuff. And
fair play.
That would be good.
I'm sure, yeah.
And all above board.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's not underage anymore, is she?
No,
so, you know.
No.
You know, no one's got a time machine. So, anyway, so...
I do apologise.
So anyway, Tung Lee...
Manda, coming soon.
Yeah. So anyway, Tung Lee arrives in town for reasons I can't remember that aren't important.
I don't think he has a reason. Is he maybe a doctor?
Yeah, he's a doctor.
Right.
And he kind of... I can't... Hang on, let me pull my notes up.
He comes, right, this is the strange thing, is he's come all this way, but as far as I can tell, he's only come to treat one person. Like, it's not a good business model. He's come to treat someone called Mr. Crispin.
Yes, but also, so yes, anyway, so he rescues the daughter of a renowned kung fu master, right, according to the dialogue. Except this old fucker doesn't do any kung fu throughout the entire film.
No.
And shows no understanding of kung fu whatsoever throughout the entire film. But anyway, he helps his daughter out as she's being creeped on by this local gang of sort of hoodlums.
Yeah, they don't like him. They like him even less than you like him.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, so there's quite a few skirmishes. So there's basically 2 gangs in town, right? You've got the local hoodlums who are kind of delinquent youths, and the main hoodlum fancies the kung fu master, who's not a kung fu master's daughter, and the daughter fancies the doctor now because she's helped her out, and he's very jealous. And then you've got this other gang of people, but they're like bandits. They're like thieves and bandits, and much more violent and dangerous. And they're led by what's his name? Sumeno Yuko.
Yukio Someno.
Yeah. But they're dangerous guys, you know. They turn over churches and actually kill people and are really violent. So anyway, lots of twos and fro's and skirmishes with pretty decent actually, basher action.
Don't forget a time-wasting village fete with some Morris dancing.
Yeah, and there's a boxing match as well, isn't there? There's like a tournament match, but it's not a very good tournament.
No, it was the Morris dancing that surprised me more than anything else. Although I suppose
a bit weird,
dancing or
it
does seem to be a international phenomenon.
Yeah. So all the while this is happening, all this kind of kung fu drama, basher drama, is intercut with Manda still in her headgear,
As played, we forgot to mention Rosemary.
Oh, Rosemary Gill. Yeah, who was doing a bang-up job.
Whose real little girl, Cherie Gill,
is the little girl, yeah.
Who turned out to be massively famous herself when she grew up.
Yeah, and is also dead now.
All right, oh, there we go.
Yeah, I looked her up earlier today.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, all the while the Kung Fu Bashery stuff's going on, she's taking revenge on the townspeople, kind of pretty indiscriminately. And she's showing up in her headgear. You don't see the snakes at all. In her headgear, and when she controls the snakes, her eyes turn gold, and the snakes come along and kill people.
Well, she even rewards the gang as well, doesn't she? To help her out to cause trouble by dragging all the girls to her cave where they... I'm assuming, obviously the idea is that it's supposed to be some kind of massive gang rape or something, but basically it's some men, you know, pushing girls around while they go, but they just do that, like nothing further happens on screen.
No, well, no, but there is one point where the gang leader basically wants to rape one of the girls, and she stops him and she says, no, you're allowed to kill them, but you're not allowed to force them. So but in this one, and the second one, which we'll talk about in a minute, is completely different. But in this one, I see this kind of Manda character, or I think they're trying to make this Manda character some sort of pseudo-feminist anti-hero kind of character.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yes, I know what you mean. Like obviously a crim, but with a kind of understandable backstory that makes it it seems like a bit of a stretch, but not a million miles away from Zoe Tamaralis's character in Miss 45, right?
Sorry, Clive, your connection cut out there.
All right, I was going to say not a million miles away from Miss 45.
Yeah, no, quite right. Yeah. It's that sort of kind of trauma-led response, but she's looking after the girls until she doesn't look after the girls. Right. You know, so anyway, so she recruits the nasty gang, you know, the dangerous gang, to basically be her thugs. The Hoodlum gang, the other gang, whose leader really fancies the Kung Fu Master's daughter, they then hook up with the dangerous gang, and then they all go after what's his name, Tung Li. Then they all go after Tung Li, and then the girl gets kidnapped, taken to the cave, and then Tung Li's got to come and rescue them. And it's not until like at least an hour into the film that she takes her headscarf off and you see the cool snakes.
But you know that's going to happen as you see the poster.
And then she's got some other superpowers. So well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's kind of the poster kind of ruins the whole. Yeah, well,
it's funny actually.
Suspense of the film.
Until you mentioned it, I never actually thought about it, because I've always known that this is a woman with snake hair film, and I'd always approached it from knowing. I didn't think it'd gone over my head. I hadn't thought about evaluating this film from the point of view of that being a surprise and how well they keep that a secret or awkward. So I wasn't even tracking that, and it's quite interesting that you did. So I didn't even think of. So is that right? Is that actually not a reveal until later on in the film? The way the film itself plays out, you don't know he's got snake hair until halfway through or something.
Yeah. No, there's well, I'm sure if you're Filipino, it's obvious,
right?
Because she's got the same powers as the comic book villain, you know.
Right.
But up until, and it's a good hour into the film, that headscarf just doesn't come off. So were you going into this blind and you hadn't seen the movie poster or the video cover, you wouldn't necessarily know for sure she's got snakes under the headscarf.
To be fair, in the theatre of the mind, educating Manda works the same way as well. It's not until like occasionally like free cum fluid drips down as a clue, and she kind of licks it off and all that. But it's not, the big reveal doesn't come until
No.
Such a shame that film
but but yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, there's some bits and bobs at the end where she's like throwing fireballs at people, and then she can disappear and reappear in different bits, but yeah, at the end he hurts one of her snakes and then she falls off a cliff and starts burning to death. Pretty much that's the end of the film, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's the bit that's missing from the something weird print, apparently. So here we go then, Aaron. Judging from the way you've been talking about it and the fact that you've actually made it sound more exciting, and I've already seen the film, it seems to me as if you enjoyed this a lot more than I did, because I actually found the first Devil Woman quite boring. Yeah,
I'm ambivalent about it. I've come away from it liking it. I like the film, right? But I mainly like the film for all the Manda bits, because when they're doing horror, they're actually quite good at doing horror in this. I think the effects are atmospheric. I think that this statuesque Rosemary Gill is quite good at giving menace. There's lots of dark scenes and her eyes like that, but I think it's just quite cool. I think that just the imagery in it's quite cool. The problem is it's kind of mashed with this quite boring basher, albeit with decent action.
Yeah.
So the basher bit of the film doesn't really go anywhere.
Right.
It's like just a series of skirmishes. And there's not really there's never any doubt that that our hero is ever going to fail to kick the shit out of someone with the kung fu he's got that's better than everyone's kung fu. It's that sort of character, isn't it?
Right. And yeah, to your point as well, even though I didn't actively dislike him as much, he is quite a uncharismatic, boring hero, isn't he?
Yeah. And none of the other kind of antagonists are particularly scary, menacing. They're just kind of thugs.
Yeah.
They're just kind of thug characters.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. It's a shame, really, because considering, there's a lot of innovation and imagination have gone into kind of, the Manda effects, the snake girl effects. You would think that there might be a bit of weaponry here or there, or there might be something interesting about the basher villains as opposed to the horror villains or the fantasy villains.
Right.
We've got, but it's not really there. So the basher part elements of this film are just, to my mind, pretty pedestrian, pretty average.
Yeah, no, agreed.
And that's kind of most of the film as well. So there's a long middle section of the film when not a lot is happening apart from skirmishes and a lot of talking between our hero, his pseudo girlfriend, and her dad.
And some Morris dancing.
So yeah, but I came away enjoying. I came away liking it, and I'd recommend it to people.
Really? That's interesting, because
I recommend it to any.
My advice was skip it, go straight to BRUKA.
I think that the two films are so different that I think if you like hammer horror and kung fu films, right? I think.
You mean Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires?
Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, Gorgon, not that that's got any kung fu in it, but if you like kind of classic 50s, 60s horror monster movies, I think this one falls nicely into that group.
That's interesting.
Unfortunately, it's got an average basher in the middle.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're onto something there. I think, yeah, if you spliced the Gorgon, or actually something a bit, it's not quite the same but in terms of quality, the reptile maybe.
Yeah.
With a forgettable basher. Which, now that you said that, I want to see that. So yeah, it's one of those films, I think, that if you're so inclined, as we are, to watch something like this, it really doesn't matter what anyone else tells you about it. You're probably going to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
You know
No, that's the thing.
You're on route to collide with this film.
Yeah.
And that's it. So there's no real point recommending it, or not really.
No, but what I liked about this film was I liked it when this film was a horror film. Yeah. And I think they did a good job of the horror elements in the film. It's just
not enough. Not enough.
No, there's not enough of it, and the basher elements are not is not exciting enough, and it's not really integrated. It's not integrated very well. It's like it's kind of two films mashed into one,
right?
Without a lot of care.
Actually, interestingly enough, it does make for a kind of interesting comparison with Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. Actually, I suppose, in so much as it is, a kung fu film grafted onto a horror film. But the Seven Golden Vampires is more part of the. It seems like
it's integrated
fabric.
Yeah. Whereas this is, I mean, you could edit the kung fu bits and pretty much come up with a 60-minute average basher,
right? And
no one would know any different,
right?
Because it's just skirmishes and a bit of a boxing match, and some thugs knocking off a church, and that's pretty much it. Whereas the horror elements, you'd get a good 20-minute film that'd be really good to watch, right? Apart from the ending. The ending's a little bit lame, but
so it did spawn a sequel, but as we said, it was probably pretty much shot along the same time. We forgot to mention the two directors, Albert Yu, Felix Villar, written produced Jimmy L. Pasquale, and again choreography by the Yens, who have got a lot more to do this time. BRUKA, Queen of Evil. And Darren's gone and frozen. Let's see if he comes back. Oh, there he is. Did you catch all that, or was it? Oh, he's still unresponsive. Hello, Darren. Oh, there he is.
Shit. Sorry about that, Clive.
That's right. I was just setting up BRUKA, so I just So that's fine. We can carry on. Now then, this is a different kettle of snakes, isn't it?
Yes.
This is more. This is a less gothic horror and more fantasy kind of. This is almost Barry Prima territory or something like that.
Yeah, I think Barry Prima is probably a really good comparison, actually, because there's all sorts of monsters in it that there's no explanation for. BRUKA herself is just fucking mental.
Yes, as played by Epang Disher.
Who apparently is a big deal.
Yes, so this is basically a very, very, very big, long snake with an old woman's head, with a big head of hair, and it's really good. I was showing clips of this to the missus, and she was quite. I mean, for something that is obviously just an old woman inside a sleeping bag or something, they actually do sell. And I bought it totally. This image. It probably helps that we're watching a, shitty copy. To be fair, for a lot of this, actually, I'm wondering if this wouldn't survive a transition to HD. Maybe all the strings.
Can you imagine the Batman cameo in HD? That was bad enough in grainy pan and scan.
But the snake, that sold it to me.
The snake was all right.
Yeah, and you get the close-ups of her just going like that, just her head, and then you get the long shot. It's a pretty good snake. Cause I mean, you can tell it's not it's been pulled or something like that.
Well, that's the thing. She's basically on a fucking trolley, isn't she? She's on a hidden trolley because the snake is just a straight length of snake.
Yeah,
it's obviously getting pulled.
But
somehow.
It works for me in a real kind of comic book comes to life kind of way. I was happy to go with it, and So it's a little bit confusing, but basically BRUKA she brings Rosemary Gill back. She kind of rescues her. You get clips from the beginning, the first film at the beginning, just to set it up, and then BRUKA rescues Manda, Rosemary Gill, who is her granddaughter, right?
Apparently, it's her grandmother. Yes,
and then somehow in the middle there, the daughter, the mother. I wasn't quite sure, but something happened. Like obviously there's a break, so there's BRUKA and then the granddaughter, and they are proud snake women, obviously. But obviously in the middle there, something happened with the mother and her marriage, where they kind of fucked her off or tried to hide their snaky roots, or something has pissed BRUKA off, right? So BRUKA is pretty much committed to. I mean, it's interesting. It's one of those few characters, villainous, evil characters in cinema, which not for a second is it ever played that misunderstood or she thinks she's doing the right thing or anything. Like BRUKA's just about being evil. Like she's talking about, we're gonna be evil. Let's be fucking evil as fuck.
Going back to the Terrorhawks reference,
right?
That's fucking Zelda right there.
She's a sneaky Zelda.
Just a cackling, maniacal fucking monster.
Yeah, and she's great. I'm a big fan of BRUKA.
Yeah, I like BRUKA.
And also she gives Manda this little stone thing that she can put in her mouth.
Yeah.
And her hair turns normal, and she can pass for normal, right?
Yeah. Let me posit a theory at this point.
Yes, which is also apparently from the Dana comics, that element.
Yeah. But let me posit a theory. Rosemary Gill had enough for wearing fucking snakes on her head. Because it doesn't happen a lot in this film at all. I think she puts that wig on twice in the whole film.
Yeah. Yes.
And she's a good-looking lady. She's very statuesque and she's very emotive. And I actually really like Rosemary Gill's performance in both films.
Yes, she did. Actually, oddly enough, she really put, like, considering she's running about with snakes on her head, she does kind of give a proper performance with gravitas.
Yeah,
she
pulls it off.
Yeah,
she really pulls it off. Yeah, and apparently she's like just like a soap opera actress, like a melodrama actress. But she's doing a good job. She's doing a good job here, I think.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, it's fucking obvious to me that she had well enough for having those snakes wriggling about in her head. She said, I'm not fucking doing it unless you find some way for me to spend most of the film without the snakes on my head. And they did. Fair play.
Oh, amazing, because educating Manda too is the opposite. Tracy loved. She had some more cocks put on her head for the sequel.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
It was a 17th birthday gift.
Oh dear. You've got Tracy Lords with cocks on her head on the brain. That didn't come out quite as funny as
no.
That no, that sounded a lot funnier in my head, and it came out not quite right.
Right. Never mind.
Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway.
We shall endeavour.
So these two films are fucking chalk and cheese because.
No, sorry. I was just saying. We're putting those thoughts in the cupboard because they're too distracting, and we'll soldier on with BRUKA. Perfect timing for me to ramble on because you've frozen again. So I'll just fill because he'll reappear in a minute. Now, I'm sure. I'm gonna have to edit this. I might have to. Oh no, there he is. No, he's gone again. What's going on in the Jones house? There he is. You there now? No.
Sorry, Clive,
right,
but for some reason my connection is not very good today.
Yes, I noticed.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing when that happens? What are you doing to restart? Like now, what did you just do? That did you?
Nothing. It restarts itself.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I filled manfully. See now everything I say is sounding vaguely pornographic, but
that's because I left you on your own, Clive. That's why, isn't it?
That is true. Yes, I started having thoughts, and you know what the kind of thoughts I have there. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Moving away from self-harm. What's the plot of this one now? So BRUKA is grooming Rosemary Gill to be proper evil.
Yeah, and succeeds.
Yeah, she does. She goes out, and so then our new hero, who's preferable to Tung Lee, I think.
Yeah. I like this dude.
Alex Lung, but he wasn't in much, right? By the looks of things, he was.
I don't think I've seen anything else with him in.
I don't think I have either. But he was. I think he was a lead in a couple of kung fu films around this period, and he's in a few others in smaller parts. But
he's got a really good face for bashers.
Yeah, he looks like he's had a few.
He looks like he's had a hiding, yeah. Yeah, but he's got like a kind of a little bit of a changy kind of ruffian kind of vibe, doesn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. I can't remember if he has much of a. Does he just turn up as well? I think he just turns. He's pretty much turns up to be the nice guy, right? And he helps a little girl look after her sick grandmother, and and he decides to.
Oh no, that's it. No, that's his family, isn't it? So.
Oh, is that
so he lives in the. Yeah, so he lives in the city, and he loses his job in a restaurant or a club because he defends some girls against some lechy drunkards.
I don't remember that at all, but yes, go on.
Yeah, well, I hadn't until I just looked at my notes.
All right, okay.
And then he basically keeps losing his job.
By later events.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he keeps losing his job because he's a good guy. But the problem is he's got his mother's lying sick in bed, and his little sister has to look after his mother. They haven't got any money, and he goes back after having lost his job, and his little sister says, "Oh, but we haven't eaten for 2 days," and then he finds out that someone's offering 50 grand.
I remember
to return.
Yeah, because there's a couple of scenes before the film kind of kicks into high gear. There's a few bits at the beginning which almost seamlessly overlap the kind of the less evil, more boisterous gang from the first film. Kind of invades the film and goes into a club and cause trouble, right? I totally forgotten the first third of this film.
Until I looked at those notes, so had I. And we're going to explain to you, listeners and viewers, exactly why in a minute.
Yes, so at a certain point, there's a wealthy man whose daughter goes missing, right? She's been snatched by BRUKA and Manda and her lot, because again, they're snatching girls to hang out in their cave with some other people who they hang out in the cave with, but we'll get to them because they are all introduced in a master shot at one point, and you're like, hang on, what's that? Is that a tree?
Yeah.
And then you don't see them, but they are all slowly reintroduced into the film.
Yeah.
And bonus ones as well that you didn't see. Or I didn't. Yeah.
And none of it is explained.
Oh no, fuck that.
None of it's explained. No. Yeah, we don't know why they're there.
No.
But they're there.
But so, and then it starts to pick up as soon as he goes to look for, because then he goes, there's this quite eerie bit, right, where because you think you know that Manda's out there killing people and making snakes appear and people get bitten here and there, but our hero on is kind of very much, an odyssey, right? It's very much that thing. First,
hero's journey.
Yeah, yes, there we go. Fuck you, Jay Campbell. He goes to this town and pretty much everyone's dead. It's like corpse-strewn fucking town.
Yeah.
It's like the Nazis have been through or something.
Well, it's what it reminded me. It reminded me of fucking Django or something. Some fucking
yes.
Some fucking spaghetti or fucking paella western,
right?
Where it's just this fucking decimated.
There you are. I'm just about what would the other Pinoy? What food would represent the? Is this a banana western or a pineapple western, or what's
well, what's the Philippines famous for? Culinary. I don't know.
No.
Is it laksa? No, laksa is Malaysian, isn't it? I think.
Right, there we go. It's a diarrhea western.
It's a diarrhea western.
Actually, if you're not, it could be. You can get diarrhea if you eat the wrong things in foreign exotic places. So there we go. At the risk of offending anyone Filipino, this is a diarrhea western.
Fucking hell. Or that we've just lost the Filipino market.
Sorry. So
anyway,
pineapple western, banana, something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm quite shocked that no Philippine cuisine is coming to mind, because I've been to the Philippines.
Yeah. But well, you should know. Yeah.
I don't like. I can do it for like Indonesia, or I could do it for, but I can't think of anyone particularly. Oh, the most delicious thing we ate in the Philippines, I think, was the buko pie, which is like coconut pie, which is delicious. So there we go. It's a buko western. That's better than diarrhea, isn't it?
Buko.
I know which I'd rather eat. Sir, would you like buko pie or diarrhea? I'll have the buko pie, please. So there we go. Buko western.
Yes.
Dead bodies.
But don't ask for a BRUKA pie. Otherwise you'd be eating some stringy old lady snake.
Yeah, which actually there's a scene, is it in this one where Manda's causing a mischief, where someone goes to dig into like a plate of spaghetti or something, and
it is this one.
Fork. That was good. That was straight out of like Beano comic or something.
But also you can tell that he actually stabbed a fork into a live snake and killed the snake that's still wiggling around up the fork.
I think that's maybe something we should reiterate as well, because it's so all over the place that you get desensitized to a certain point, and because this second film has all sorts of other madness going on, we should reiterate the fact that both of these films have shitloads of snakes in and people interacting with very dangerous looking, like fucking cobras, right? Like
there's some fucking cobras in both of these films. Yeah.
I'm assuming they've been, you know,
they're like been devenomed or
devenomed or something. Although, I mean, it's not Calamity of Snakes level of snake intelligence, but few things are, right? That's a category of one, right? Calamity.
Well, but hang on. We got another film to review after this.
That's true. That's quite a lot of things. Yeah. But anyway, there's a lot of snakes. So
some snakes are obviously injured or killed in both these films.
If that's a problem, then don't watch these films. Don't watch the one after this as well. But
no, don't worry. There's a trigger warning coming up right after this segment.
So the only people survive. There's a priest, as played by Ramon da Salva, and his hunchback assistant, and they say, well, if you want to fight with Manda, you better go see this hermit.
Yeah.
So he goes and visits a hermit.
Yeah.
And the hermit, I'm not sure exactly but he seems to make him invulnerable to evil, he says. I think he also gives him the power of flying about a bit, because he does that in a kind of wuxia kind of way, right?
That's just this kung fu, isn't it?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. No, the dialogue goes something like, I'm going to give you my rope around my belt, his belt.
Yeah, he gives him, that's the main thing, is he gives him a rope that can turn into a staff, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Which, to be fair, is quite a good effect. On-screen effect, where the rope, as he's spinning around, turns into a staff. I mean, there's like a slight frame jump or something.
Yeah, you can see the joint. Yeah.
It's actually,
it is good.
I was trying to figure out how they did it, because it is quite well done. It's an in-camera, because they could have easily just cut to hermit, cut back, and it's turned into a staff, right?
Yeah.
So it's an on-camera thing, which is
quite... No, it looks like they had a competent editor.
Yeah.
But it's so the hermit says, yes, with my magic staff, or my magic rope that I'm giving to you, you can defeat evil and resist it, or fucking some shit.
Yes.
And with your kung fu, you will be invulnerable, basically, is what he's saying. That was the line of dialogue.
I'm offering you, Tracy Lords, my magic staff. So anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he's ready.
And now we're fucking cooking.
Yes.
And now it's fucking...
He's got his stuff
all the way.
So now it's time. And what's quite interesting, considering he is on this quest, there's a series of skirmishes which seem to interrupt him trying to have a bit of a nap. Like he's always like under a tree. I suppose he's resting up for his quest, I suppose. But it's interesting. A number of times it's like they run out of ways to have him interrupted. They'll just because they even go to the extent of having a point of view shot of his eyes closing, don't they? Like when
and
it's like an iris kind of thing. I'm quite surprised to see that they went. Yeah.
Well, like I say, they've got some sort of edit. They hired an editor for this one. Yeah.
So now then, what happens first? It's the bat, isn't it? I think.
And comes out of fucking nowhere. Oh no, tell a lie. There is a bit in the cave where BRUKA basically summons the bat. No, that's it. So in between the bit where he's getting the staff off the hermit, they sacrifice a girl. So and there's a topless girl as well. So which is unusual, I thought. So topless girl basically gets beaten to death by midgets.
Yeah, we'll mention them.
Yeah, they're coming. No, sorry, it's not the midgets. It's the rock monsters.
Oh, right. Yes.
The rock monsters.
Yeah, there's rock monsters as well.
There's rock monsters.
Coming soon. Yeah.
Yeah. The rock monsters basically beat one of the girls into a mush. and it's like a full moon ritual, and that gives either BRUKA or Manda extra powers so that they can summon the bat creature.
They could be well evil, basically.
Yeah. But no, I interpreted that like, oh, they need extra power to summon this extra demon or whatever.
But anyway, they obviously didn't have a full power on the batteries, because the Batman is, it's a bat flying about, just a regular, well, it's a toy bat or something. And then
that's not a bad effect. It's that bit actually was not a bad effect. But that was an okay effect.
Turns into.
Actually, by the way, I think that was a dead bat.
It could be.
That was a dead bat. Yeah.
But when he smacks him and he falls out the air, he turns into
a man in pajamas with some fucking bat wings.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible.
They don't linger on him because I think they must know that it's not a particularly convincing effect.
They've lingered too long on him.
He looks a little.
That should have been a fucking.
I'm wondering if it's a leftover costume from the Twilight people, because that's got like a Batman thing in it, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Remember that looking a bit better. Obviously, making that film, it broke.
Wear and tear, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a bit shonky looking at this point.
But it's the wrong colour as well. So if you're gonna make a Batman, right? Not Batman, but a Batman.
Yes.
Then you want to make him kind of dark brown or black, right? This Batman, he's kind of beige, isn't he? It's like he's the same colour as like a 1970s bathroom suite.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, maybe that's where they got, someone just decorated their bathroom and they got some leftover rolls of.
Yeah. So he's like a carpet right Batman.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. DFS Batman. So
DFS Batman is dispatched with quite quickly.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
See, now it's very difficult to tell in this poor version, but was this a pig man? I think this is a pig man, right?
Yes. There was a pig man who was with Yukio Someno.
Yeah, who's just man. He's not too. He's
just a man. He's got leopard skin on.
It's funny actually. I watched the trailer for this as well, and they make a big deal of Yukio Somino, and also he's quite high up in the credits.
Yeah.
I think he's just another henchman, really, in this. So was he a selling point? Like, did people know who he was? Because as far as I can tell, he's a Japanese-born actor who just played a lot of evil Japs in kung fu films. Yeah,
you see him around a lot.
Yeah,
in the early 70s. Anyway.
He's never really the big bad, right? He's never really like a henchman or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's in the trailer and he's quite high up in the credits. So I'm wondering if there was at some point he was famous for something. Like, did he get a bit? Was he in like a television series in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Like one series or something?
Yeah, could have been. Yeah. Or maybe there was one basher that we don't know about over here that was just really popular over there.
Could be, yeah.
And he was the baddie in it.
But he's not really in it that much, or he's not distinct, especially compared to a Batman and a Pigman. He's not distinctive, right? He's just something or man. I think he might wear like a. Does he wear like
leopard skin?
Leopard skin, yeah.
Yeah, leopard. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but I noticed actually he wears leopard skin with just some like ripped jeans.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be leopard man or anything like that.
No, he's not like meant. Well, no, I mean, if you're going to make a Batman, he's, you can't. If there's a man dressed as a bat in beige with proper wings and stuff, and then you're just sticking a carnival strongman fucking loincloth.
Yeah, that's it.
Leopard skin loincloth.
Exactly what he's wearing.
You can't call him a leopard man.
No, but I'm just.
That's not fair.
I wouldn't be totally surprised if that's what it was supposed to be.
No, I agree.
And they ran out of, we ran out of leopard skin stuff. Fuck it then.
Yeah. So then he's coming across the rock men and the tree men.
Well, the rock men are quite cool. I mean, you can make fun of the Batmen and the pig man's all right, except he's the only thing with the pig man. He's just got the mask.
It's just the mask, yeah.
And then it's clearly they haven't even like tucked it into his. It's obviously a mask runs out, right? So it's essentially a man in a pig mask as opposed to.
Yeah, in a mask. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it is supposed to be just a man in a pig mask. I don't know. But the rock men, they're quite good.
I disagree with you. I don't think they are quite good. I think they're just men with polystyrene rock stickers. But what is good? No. But what is good is the effect when he stabs them with a magic stick. And when they disintegrate.
Well, that's also quite what's good. What sells it is the sound, actually.
Yeah.
Because they clink, don't they?
Yeah.
If they didn't have the clinking sound, I might agree. But to be fair, compared to the rest of it, I thought the stone men looked good. I thought they looked good. They were
they're okay.
They were preferable to me because it's practical effects, and I was trying to think what they reminded me of. They reminded me of the angels, the Nephilim angels in Noah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like that.
But
not CGI, like actually made out of style. And to be fair, I've seen less convincing styrofoam as rocks in many peplums, right? Where people throw styrofoam.
Yeah, true.
I think
they're
all right. Like when like
they're okay.
It hits them and stuff. It's not as if they just they fall into little styrofoam. They might in HD, but
no. In this one, the effect where he kills them was actually quite good.
Yeah. There's a tree.
The trees. Yeah, tree less good.
I will defend the tree. I mean, it does look like a tree. I mean, it's a. I don't know quite how they did it. It's a rolled.
It looks like a man in a fucking upside down sleeping bag with some branches on. Is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a tree. It's
all right.
I was sold.
I can live with it.
Maybe I'm easily. You
didn't really think that was a tree, though. You never.
Yeah,
you never
I was thinking, how did they get a tree to move?
You'd never mistake that for a tree.
Let's put it this way: it's more convincing as a ambulatory tree than Tabanga, whatever the fuck it's called, in From Hell.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. So it's only 20 years between them. It's all right.
Oh, yeah. Mind you, it doesn't have that scary, gnarly face. Man.
No.
To watch From Hell. I haven't seen From Hell. It came in years. I love From Hell.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
If it was made in the Philippines, we could have talked about it. Anyway,
so now, as soon as he overcomes them, mid-jet time.
Yes. Including, I found one guy's name. Greg Lozano.
All right.
Is one of them.
Okay.
And
good job, Greg.
Good half dozen more, maybe. Who enjoy a bit.
No, it's good 10, 12.
Enjoy a bit of dancing when they're not fighting our hero. There's a bit where they're just having a bit of a bit of a boogie in the forest and they're dancing about.
Yeah.
Which is a nice touch, humanizing.
And it's and then he just fucking wails on these midgets, doesn't he?
Man, it's something. I mean, Alex, he just kicks them in the face and at one point picks one up and throws him off screen. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, what to say about well, it is what it is. I mean, I also like the scene where they all terrorize the women as well. They're all just fondling these women and going and stuff like that. They're like,
in their defense as well. I mean, they are coming across as quite hard as well. It's not like
pretty buff, right? They're all
no, they're built.
out.
Yeah. But also they're coming at, in the plot, as far as what passes for a plot in this film goes. They're all, they're meant to be menacing characters. Right. And, he's in danger because there's, 10 or 15 little people who are after him.
Yeah, I mean, I admire, yes, Peter Dinklage, you're a fine actor and you have certainly kept your dignity more than these people, but they beat you in a fight.
Fuck yeah, man. Ripped they are. Ripped, a lot of them. Yeah.
There must be a gym they all go to where the equipment is lowered, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah. No, they just lift like thimbles and things, don't they? Like, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, they're not that. It's not the Incredible Shrinking Man lifting.
He's got a matchstick with 2 dice on it. So anyway, after he's finished wheeling on the little people,
kicking them in the face.
Yeah. Then it's the finale.
Right.
So I was a bit disappointed.
Well, so much has happened.
Well, but Manda didn't get a fair shake of the stick on this one. She just does a bit of appearing and disappearing, and actually I can't even remember how we.
No, I don't remember.
Gets her.
But
pretty throwaway
because we've had our money's worth by the time this rolls around. So I can't say I was really surprised. I was this is going to be anticlimactic, obviously, because you've had rock men, tree men,
I'm not sure it is anticlimactic actually, because I think that battle's pretty fucking good. BRUKA versus.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, no. What I'm saying is, if it were anticlimactic, then you would have no reason to complain and demand your money back, right?
Yeah. No, you've already had your money's worth. You're right. Right. Yeah.
So, and also it's interesting. Yeah, so we mentioned the choreography before. Here, and well, it's slightly unfair to compare, I suppose, because it's like we said, it's not your standard. I can't remember. Is there any like standard? There's not much in terms of standard.
There's not a lot.
But non-gimmicky kung fu, right?
No, I mean the Yukio Sumeno fight was reasonably standard, but it was very brief. I think there were a couple of skirmishes at the start, maybe, but yeah, there's not a lot of conventional kung fu in this. But something that really affected that for me actually was the sound went out of sync quite a lot during the fight scenes. Yes. I noticed.
Yeah,
and that really, really affects how you perceive the choreography. Yeah,
that's true.
It really has to the sound really, really has to line up with the moves.
The clinky noises of the rockmen, that's what tells them.
Yeah.
But we should mention that we are lucky to be able to see this at all, really, and it is about on YouTube, because this film was lost for the longest time. There was just a trailer. I don't think it ever had a proper home video release, I don't think. And from what I was gathering from so on the Wu-Tang Collection page, it's up there, and there's some comments. It's not there, sorry, somewhere else I found some comments. And Toby's in there somewhere in the chain,
of course,
coming from. So apparently someone who was in the film had a 35mm copy or something, and they ran off a DVD copy, and then someone else copied that DVD, and that's how it ends up that it kind of survives and it's about. But I don't know if that 35mm copy is actually still in existence, so they could do a proper restoration from.
Yeah, well, because what I watched was a pretty bad pan and scan job, actually.
That's just what I read. So
yeah. No, but I think what we both watched was obviously from a VHS.
I don't know. It's difficult to because well there was no VHS. That's the thing. I don't think there was a VHS. Now it might be a poor I tell you what it was. It was a even though it wasn't a that's right. It was a telecine. It was a telecine from the 35mm. That makes sense.
All right.
Because it does look like a telecine. Yeah. So that's it's easy to mistake for VHS quality as well.
Okay.
I don't think there ever was a home video version of this, which is why it was basically if you didn't see it when it was new, then it was
it was
and that's and that's why people confused it with Devil Woman and but when you actually see them side by side, they're like you said, chalk and cheese, like such different films.
Yeah. I mean, one is kind of trying to be classy, right? So
which one would that
Woman,
be, darling?
No, I maintain Devil Woman's trying to be classy with the horror elements.
Yes, I know. It's going to be more.
But fucking hell, this one, it's like fucking.
Great.
It's like bananas. Yeah.
I was most pleased because after I put out Devil Woman, I was another one of these, and I was pleasantly surprised that that I went nuts with it. Yeah. So
just get through the first bit. Yeah. So they're the same choices. They are the same choices. And after I've had a piss, Clive.
Oh yes.
We're coming back and giving a massive fucking trigger warning for the next one. You absolute bastard for making me watch this. Two versions of this shit.
I didn't realize you were such a sensitive word at it.
You know what? I read reviews of this before I watched it. Right, and this will be where the trigger warning comes in.
Right.
So I read reviews that there's basically this kind of geek character who, instead of eating glass and hammering nails up his nose or whatever, eats live, eats live animals. One of which is a mouse.
Yes, bites its head off and its tail,
and just chews it, and
then smiles into the camera to show his teeth.
Yeah. So do not watch this film if you can't. Do not watch this film if you're a normal person who doesn't like cruelty to animals.
If, however, you love cruelty to animals, it's the film for you.
Yes. So we watched two versions of this, didn't we?
Yes. So did you watch them? Because I watched them side by side because I wanted to figure out specifically what the differences were. Did you watch them?
No, I watched them. I watched them at normal speed, back to back.
Oh, okay, all right.
Well, no, actually, I didn't watch them back to back. I watched them with the film in the middle.
Okay, so you must have ended up slightly confused because, well, we'll explain why, because there's kind of weird editing differences and stuff. But so basically, we're talking about, well, I don't think we've decided, right? SUCCUBARE, SUCCUBARE, aka The Princess Intoxicant.
Yeah.
A Taiwanese film from 1977, which oddly enough, I mean, because I suppose it does fit into this post black magic cycle of insect chewing horrors, which actually it's quite an early one as well. Actually,
it's very early. I mean, people compare it a lot, I think, to centipede horror.
Right.
But centipede horror, what's centipede? It's like 80 or 81, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for a lot of the films that ended up copying the black magic films are the especially the second one, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't really start imitating them until the early 80s.
Yeah.
there were a bunch of them, right? And Black Magic 2 is 76. This is 77, so it's pretty early.
Yeah,
but
it's hot on the heels.
Considering that, and it's oddly enough, it seems to have been overshot. Like now, especially since there's been Blu-ray restorations and stuff, people seem to know about Centipede Horror and Red Spell, and all of those films.
Yeah,
I think this is still fairly obscure, and the only place I actually read about it was Psychotronic Video.
Oh, okay.
It's in the Psychotronic Video, the second book.
Okay. Yeah, the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously they, they didn't have the info on those, so they have it as a 1981 Hong Kong production, which is off by a few years in a country, but
it was back in the olden Wild West days, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. Obviously, someone put it out on VHS. I don't think it was Ocean Shores, but it was about.
Well, the only place I'd heard of it, I'd seen Princess Intoxicant as part of Carter Wong's filmography that I hadn't seen.
The Unstoppable Sex Machine.
That's him. But that's my only that was my only context of this. So I hadn't really heard of this at all.
Right. So there's these two different versions, both on YouTube. SUCCUBARE is 82 minutes, and Princess Intoxicant is 92 minutes. But watching them side by side, what I noticed is there's a definite frame rate difference as well.
Yeah.
Princess Intoxicant,
there's not a lot of difference between the two.
Well, it's interesting. This is what I was trying to figure out. So Princess Intoxicant, 92 minutes, but it kept going out of sync all the time. And so I'm guessing if it was the same speed as SUCCUBARE, not actually 10 minutes difference, it's 14 minutes difference.
Oh, I think there's some more. I think we might be missing some more, possibly a fight or two.
Yes, well, I'll tell you exactly what what I discovered was missing, but I couldn't quite account for. By my estimation, I could make for about 8 minutes.
Okay.
But where the other 6 minutes come from, I'm not sure, because the other thing as well is the scenes are certain scenes are rearranged.
Yeah.
In either they come at different points of the film, and to your point, the geek thing as well plays out differently in both versions, right? Well,
if you can handle it and you're gonna watch one version, my immediate recommendation would be to watch SUCCUBARE version, simply because in Princess Intoxicant, it's the opening scene. The opening scene of the whole film is this geek just going through fucking animals. So it's just he eats a snake, he eats a frog, he eats a
frog
mouse.
Is my favorite, I think, because he really just rips that in half, doesn't he? He just goes live.
Yeah, that's fucking horrible. No, seriously, I fucking put this off for so long. I put it off for so long because I just imagined what it would look like to eat a live mouse.
Yeah, and now you know.
And it fucking freaked it. The idea of it freaked me out, and I'm not squeamish, No. I can't tell you the amount of times I've watched Cannibal Holocaust. I've watched Cannibal Holocaust 15, 20 times probably.
Right.
So I can handle it. I can handle animal cruelty, but. It's something about the idea of that mouse scene was freaking me out, and I did not enjoy watching it either.
Here's hoping for a HD.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, So in Princess Intoxicant, that's the first thing you see.
Yeah.
That's the opening scene. Whereas I quite actually, from a narrative perspective, it actually made sense to have the animal eating geek in it as kind of like a I don't know what you call it. Some comic relief, gross out relief or something. Yeah, but it's like a nihilistic punctuation
Yeah,
in
so
this kind of degradation of a film
it's
sort of thing.
set
You
up,
know what I mean?
isn't
It's
it?
like,
Like first he
yeah,
eats a little bit later on eats the frog and then eats the mouse. So it's worth mentioning as well. You call him the geek, but this is Owly Bow, because I was thinking that face looks familiar, and then you look him up and he is actually in loads of things, like in really small bits. He's in endless kung fu films. You know, he's like street vendor or tramp or, you know, and I recognize his face. And then I studiously looked through his credits at Hong Kong Movie Days just to see if there was any other thing where he was credited as geek or man who eats frog or, you know, man who bites head off chicken or something. And there's nothing, right? So what fascinates me about this, because there would be one thing if they'd found out, oh, you know, there's a bloke down the road and his thing biting frogs in half or something. Oh, let's go film that. Cool, we'll put it in our film.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought it was, but I hadn't clocked that at all.
Yeah, no, so this is what I'm assuming some poor fucking starving actor who's been assigned this role, right? He's been told, you know, he's rocked up on set expecting to do his usual thing of standing around in the background, maybe a reaction shot or two, getting his box lunch and fucking off. And he finds out that obviously someone on the production crew has it in for him. Maybe he like stole his girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you have a bigger part today than usual. Oh, great. Yeah, fantastic. What's that then? Well, you're going to have to fucking bite a frog in half and a mouse. And if you don't, you'll never work in this town again.
Fucking hell. Can you imagine?
I don't know. It's just such a weird thing to have. Like, if you did it regularly, I kind of get that, as weird as it is. But to have this as your only credit, as because it's the thing everyone remembers from this film. Right? Even if you get everything else, you remember this bloke. But it's not his speciality, unless he had a second. Maybe that was his second career, as well as actor. Maybe he could have been a circus geek or something.
Yeah.
But that just fascinates me that it could potentially be just one role of many, and I bet he can still taste that mouse to this day. That like
fucking hell, yeah.
Forget that.
Yeah.
And fair play, he goes ready. Does it? And you wonder as soon as cut if he's just vomiting his guts out.
Yeah, it's not like Divine and the Dog Turd, right? Because you know, even though Divine is saying at the end of Pink Flamingos, "Oh fuck it, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it."
Right.
There's hesitation there, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a.
Yeah. Am I really
going to? He's just straight in there.
To be fair, I think it's a similar. I think he's racing through it. He's like,
true.
Okay,
yeah.
Like one take. I'm only doing this once.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had to.
Can we just do that again?
Bring on some more frogs.
Yeah. Oh fucking hell! Can you imagine? Yeah. So anyway, that's the beginning of Princess Intoxicant. Anyway. AKA, because this has a bearing on the plot, AKA Witchcraft of the Meow People.
Right, who are not a race of cat people.
No. But also made me think of Nora Meow as well.
Do you think that's where she's from?
Yeah.
Could be.
No, because Wikipedia will tell you that is a genuine region of China.
Right.
That is known they've had apparently a terrible time, but it is apparently known for being a very kind of, you know, somewhere with a very tribal kind of animistic kind of culture. So
do you think if you're in China, if you're in Hong Kong and you and like back in the late 70s, do you think this is actually a really, really racist film that we're not getting now?
That's where I was going with that. Yeah.
Right.
So I think there's some. Yeah, I wonder if there are Uyghur films coming out in the last few years on the same
where they force someone to eat a frog and to show how they're subhuman or something. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
You are a repressed minority in China who's been forced to eat reptiles on screen. Let us know. Drop us a line. Self-addressed
yes
envelope.
Yeah, because they're definitely going to have access to the internet, aren't they? If
that's right. Yeah, of course.
Yes. So anyway,
yes.
What happens in this apart from that?
Oh well. So now then, so basically, so I'm going to tell the story. The story's more or less the same, I think, other than So basically,
no, it's the same. Yeah.
There's a bloke who's in this Miao region, and he's got his girlfriend, and he's been told, so he has to leave on business, and she says, well, I can't leave this mountain area, I just can't do it, it's impossible for me, plus you must return within 100 days. And we don't really explain, we're not told why, but turns out that this cad has not only a wife and child in another town, he also has a lover as well in another town. So he's putting it about.
Yeah.
And he does not return after 100 days. So it turns out some sort of curse that's been put on him starts to afflict him, right? And he turns into what seems to be almost like a vampire, right? He vampirizes a couple of people.
Yeah.
But more importantly, his abdomen swells up, right? And he's in great pain. You're looking at me daft there, Darren. Oh no, it's the frozen is what it is. You're back. All right. And so
I'm back. Yeah.
Yes, and no one knows what's wrong with him, and they bring in a whole bunch of doctors and Taoists, and
there's Taoist priests waving swords and shit over him.
Comic relief exorcists as well. And in fact, there's one Taoist priest who touches him and then throws up blood, right? So it's like, oh, this is not to be fucked with. And then someone, I don't know if it's actually his brother, because of course in these films they all call you brother. I don't know if it's arms or brother, but a guy returns. He's been studying medicine abroad, right? So he's a little bit more forward thinking than the other locals, and he's like, well, I can cut him open and perform surgery. And people are horrified. They're like, you can't cut someone open, they'll die, blah, blah, blah. So it's all set up for this surgery. And unfortunately, in both versions, the SUCCUBARE quality is slightly higher than Princess and Toxic. But even in this version, when they slit him open, I can't quite tell, is it? They look like slugs, but is it snakes?
No, they're snakes. I think what they actually are is eels.
Okay.
But I think they're meant to be snakes.
Right. So he's got a stomach full of snakes and shit.
Yeah.
So then, so it turns out that so they somehow figure it out that he had been in this mountain region, and that the legend that the women who live there, and there's a bunch of princesses, the main one being Betty Pei T, right, is the head princess. And the other girl, the love interest girl, is Qin Shi Min, right, who we saw in Love of the White Snake when we did our White Snake films on Shawscope and not in Shawscope. So there's a legend that these girls, they basically collect things with poison, is what they collect, right? And you get these of them snakes.
Yeah, there's a lot of footage. There's a lot of footage of them collecting various poisonous animals.
Yeah, none of which the one that gets me, oddly enough, I don't know why. I think it's maybe because I see them occasionally from time. Well, I sometimes see snakes here, but not often. But it's not the snakes. It's when they collect centipedes. I don't like the idea.
Yeah.
I don't like centipedes.
That's good. Well, not one's that fucking big.
Yeah, well, there's not
over here, centipedes are that big.
Yeah, not here in Tokyo, but if you go south, if you go down Okinawa way, we get big fucking and thick, big centipedes, and they're poisonous as well.
Yeah.
And you have to, apparently, if you see one, you have to burn them. Basically, is how you get rid of them. You set fire to them. Yeah.
So you've got to get a fucking flamethrower.
Or you get like an aerosol can and a light or something. That's what people do apparently. If you find one in your house, you're supposed to burn it.
Fucking hell.
But I've heard. So luckily I don't think anyway. I mean, I've seen snakes around here more often than I've seen centipedes, but but not poisonous ones. Anyway, so they collect these things and they put them in a big pot. And they make something called the Poison King. Yeah. Which is either the name of the spell or the curse or the liquid or this statue. So anyway, the guys from town decide they want to investigate. So they decide. Yeah, but they decide to go and be nice to the Meow people, don't they? Yeah, they bring them some livestock and a bag of salt or something, apparently. Yeah, which a tribesman subsequently fucking kills on camera. Just kills a fucking oxen on camera with an axe, doesn't he? Right. Yeah. Yes, that accounts for the missing footage. That bit's a little bit longer in the Princess Intoxicant version. There's more graphic stuff. So in the SUCCUBARE version, they skin the cow and stuff. But in the Princess Intoxicant, you get the guts and also the snapping of the leg. Yeah. Although it does appear to be dead at least before they start on it. Yeah, I mean, he's whoever whacked that cow with an axe has done that before. And is actually quite proficient at killing fucking animals with axes. Yeah. So and it happens to coincide with they have this moon dance festival, mating ritual kind of thing. So they end up pairing off with the local girls as well, right? Yeah. Clearly, no one's paid attention to this whole. They don't get it, right? No. You have to commit, right? It's like it's like knocking up a Catholic girl, right? You can't, So anyway, they end up with this moon dance thing, and so that's another thing. So in the moon dance, I think in the Princess Intoxicant version, Betty, I keep wanting to say Betty Ting Pei, but it's not Betty Ting Pei. And I've noticed that people have got confused online as well, that they think it's her, but it's not. It's Betty Pei T. And she has a musical number. She sings a song at the moon dance. Yeah. I think that's not in the SUCCUBARE version. There's no musical. No. Dancing and stuff, and more snake collecting and stuff like that. Yeah. So and then it gets a little bit confusing. I wasn't quite sure. There's a bit where the girls sneak into the guys' rooms at night and blow smoke on them. Is that supposed to? What's that supposed to do? Is that supposed to make them fall in love with them, or is that part of the spell? I think. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But there's lots of from this point onwards. So pretty much from the point at which the cow's killed. Yeah. It becomes this kind of not even a culture clash thing. It's like just an intra-tribal kind of drama.
you know, with a little bit of Carter Wong fighting someone every once in a while.
Yeah, so we should mention Carter Wong. He's like the tribe's headsman, right? He's supposed to protect them. But yeah, it is confusing because that scene, for instance, where a pickpocket accidentally stabs himself on his scimitar and gets poisoned, or has Carter Wong gone to town?
Yeah, he's gone into town.
Right. But I'm not sure why he's done that. Because it strikes me as they don't normally do that, right? They just hang out in the mountains.
Yeah. But he's gone into town, and then he's got in trouble, and then he's kicked the shit out of some people, and someone's died.
Yeah.
And then he just comes home. And then he gets in arguments with various of the priestesses.
So he also accounts for the major missing portion of the film from the SUCCUBARE version. Like a 5-6 minute fight scene.
Yeah.
Which is really good, actually.
It's not bad. Yeah.
There's no choreography credit, so I'm not sure who did that. But it's good, and it's got weapons.
There's weapons. Yeah.
I thought that was really good. It was a shame. I'd like to know who did it, but I thought that was good. But that's missing from the SUCCUBARE or SUCCUBARE or whatever the fuck it's called version. Not sure why. It strikes me as that would be.
You'd think they keep it in, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a theory on SUCCUBARE actually, but yeah.
So that accounts from between the singing and the longer cow and this is like 5-6 minutes, because I was waiting for it. I was like, because the thing is as well, both versions have different scenes edited at different times. So when you're watching it side by side, I was watching side by side, I was like, oh, okay, this is stopped. So I stopped that version, watched this version, and I was like, good, I'm making notes. That accounts for the missing. Brilliant. I know what's going on. And then they sync up again, watch, and then, oh, hang on, fuck, that bit is in this now, late. I don't know why it's done like that. But the thing is, it's like, oh, that footage is in the film. Fuck, okay, that's not where they're missing. So it was a little bit of a headache, but fight, cow, singing, and little bits here, like really like beginning and end of scene just shorn off. Added up to max 8 minutes that I could figure out. Where the other 6 minutes are, I don't know. But anyway, that's what I could figure out at least. So
I think there was quite a lot more interaction between the visiting villagers and the priestesses, you know.
More montage stuff, right?
There was a lot more of that stuff in Toxicant rather than Succubare.
Yeah, like a few seconds here, a few seconds there, slowly adds up. But it just, I can't figure out, like, why would you have two different versions where it's edited in different time? And then why would you? Anyway, I can't figure. Because the thing is, if you're preparing this for an American audience as well, right? You would have thought the stuff that would have gone missing would have been the fucking geek eating the frog. That would be the stuff. And not only is it not missing, they've carefully crafted it so it.
Exactly. They've kept it up and stuck it in.
So but the long cow being, I don't know who. Bananas to figure out. So. And
then we've got the statue bit at the end, with the statue bit.
So they put the Poison King in this little statue because one guy, the fatty, what's his name? You've seen him in a million films, right? Him. He's him and the other guy, because the three of them go. They stay with their women. The other one has to go home for some reason. So. And also, it's actually quite confusing because the character played by Chin Min, she keeps saying, no, I haven't poisoned you. I haven't cursed you. Have you sure? No. And I'm not, and she's lying, but the film doesn't portray her as a villainous or like, if any, it's Betty Pay T them. But in the end, she turns out to be the nice.
She rescues everyone.
It's weird. Just in terms of motivations, I was totally confused as to who was why they were doing this. I still don't understand how this fucking works really.
But
you can't reverse it, right? Apparently, after it's
Yeah, but also I think the fact that it is so confusing and there's so much sort of intra-tribal nonsense just made me stop giving a shit about any of the priestess tribal stuff.
Right.
So at this point, I'm just waiting for, gore stuff or weird stuff, or
We should mention the statue as well, because they gives them the statue, and it's kind of insurance. So if he doesn't come back, the statue will fuck you up, right? And they say at the beginning, "Here's a statue, don't touch it." Which I was trying to figure out, how the fuck am I supposed to transport it if I don't touch it? He gets, somehow, without touching it, he gets the statue back to his house. And was told, don't touch it. And bearing in mind he has a child right about that age who runs about touching things, what does he do? He puts it on display in the living room. And everyone and his fucking dog touches the thing. But
but even worse, but the kid like touches not the business end of the statue.
No.
And some of the poison gas leaks on his hand. And the fucking idiot then licks the poison off his hand.
And goes, ugh.
And then his mum and the kid are laid up in bed.
Yes.
And then the priestesses...
With slugs and eels.
And puppy dog's tails,
Yes.
And then the priestesses descend and rescue them.
Yes, and you do get a little bit of last minute, just in case you were thinking they forgot to tick all the boxes. Someone does throw up some live worms.
Yes.
Greenish goo, which is important. You've got to have some of that in this.
It's the genre. It's the genre.
Interesting. The thing with these genres is you always have to go somewhere else. It's usually Thailand, right? But
Thailand or like Indonesia, or
But in this case, it's some borderland in China. But it's interesting. You always have to go somewhere to get it, right? And then come. And often, actually, a lot of these films are like Bewitched and Boxer's Omen. Also, an important part of these films is the cheating on someone. I'm trying to think of some examples where people are just given the curse just for a laugh or just to be, but it's always almost to do with someone having been betrayed or cheated.
To do with fidelity.
Which is kind of interesting. And I think that's for instance, Princess Intoxicant cuts really abruptly at the end, and you're missing like the last 30 seconds of people just going bye. Anyway, that's SUCCUBARE opera. I would say there's nothing much in it. SUCCUBARE is better quality. So you might probably be better off watching that. That's the English dub, because it's much better quality, and you're not really missing. Well, you are missing the kung fu. I don't know. I mean, if you're
I don't think anyone's watching this for the kung fu, right?
I guess
no one's going out of their way to fill their Carter Wong dance card, right? And making it through the first fucking 5 minutes of this.
Maybe.
Right? So I think the only way to approach this, and I would, if you want to know Darren's recommendation, which one to watch, SUCCUBARE all the way. And that's two reasons. Number one, it's dressed up as a fucking Mondo film at the start.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. There's a really cool the bit of
like a voiceover at the start.
Yes, but the bit I liked is when he said, "This film has been made with the reluctant participation of the local people." I thought, what?
Not even that. But it's of course they're reluctant. You're making them out as fucking mouse-eating savages.
Yeah, but Darren, the proof's there. They are. I saw it. I saw representative of the Meow people.
Obviously, poor meows. They, you know, they've got troubles enough as it is. Yeah. So if you know, if you're seeking this film out, right, you're not doing it for kung fu, right? You're doing this for your own depraved or boundary pushing purposes.
This is
right.
true.
This film doesn't fall into the kung fu category really, although there is some half decent fu in it.
Yeah.
This film falls into the bizarre or weird cinema.
Yeah, it's on that Mondo edge, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's another reason that is just escaping me.
You said as well that you had a theory as to why it might be cut the way it is, right?
Yeah, and that's the Mondo thing. So,
okay.
And I think that's the reason that they've cut the geek bits into, or they've intercut, or they've cut down the long sequence at the start of Princess Intoxicant of him eating multiple animals and done it as a vignette, you know, 3 or 4 vignettes in the middle of the film. Because that's more Mondo.
Right.
Yeah. And that's more of like a punctuation between
roll up,
bizarre segments.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of,
Exactly. Yeah.
Also worth mentioning as well, and I don't know what it is, I couldn't figure it out. So the music in this film is really
I like the music.
Yeah.
It's like a Tangerine Dream kind of.
Well, I was trying to figure out what it's clearly some sort of krautrock, isn't it? It sounded. I didn't have a chance to. I didn't recognize it. I didn't have a chance to check it out. It sounded to me the closest. It sounded to me like cluster or something like that.
Okay.
Dream. I could be cluster. There's something like that. But it's really good. It's really good.
And it's very effective. And you know, fair play to the film as well, because I think the problem with anything like this is it's going to be, you know, it's going to be overshadowed. Any opinion you've got on the film is overshadowed by all the animal cruelty stuff, which is why a lot of people are going to see it.
Right.
But the out and out horror sequences are actually pretty good. So the stomach swelling, the pale faced, zombie stuff. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Accompanied by that effective electronic music.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so it's bringing a decent bit of menace. It's always nice to see some snakes and centipedes and shit crawling around as well. And
there's a lot of close-ups, isn't there, of like a spider in a web, at one point as well, a monkey on a chain gets a few close-ups for some reason.
Yeah. I was getting worried for that monkey. I was wondering
what's going to happen. Is some bloke suddenly going to come in and take a bite out of him? But luckily not. No, the monkey remained intact.
So
what do you make of? I mean, even though it's kind of almost beyond criticism in a way, because it is, like you said, it's more of a carnival freak show than it is a conventional. How did you get? I found it. I genuinely find it difficult to actually review because it's so strange and like it didn't even enter my mind at any point while watching it. Is this good or not? But I suppose to its credit, it's not boring. I can imagine it might have been boring for you watching it a second time if you were watching it twice.
Yeah.
So you might be able to say more to that than me. But watching them side by side and keeping an eye on everything was keeping my brain engaged, I suppose. But I mean, it's like I said, it's kind of beyond criticism, really. It is exactly what it promises to be. You can't argue it doesn't deliver. You could argue it delivers more. I mean, it's confusing. It's not the most well thought out narrative in the world, but it's like you said, the horror sequences are done well, the kung fu's done well, the Mondo stuff is just, well, it's Mondo.
It is what it is.
I mean, it's an odd, it's a very peculiar little beast of a film.
It is.
It's one of those things. I think either you've already made up your mind whether you're going to watch it or not as well, right? It's like you either don't have to. You shouldn't talk anyone into it who's not up for it. And also, clearly the kind of person who's going to be excited to hear about it is going to seek it. And, they only have to click. It's on YouTube in both versions, right? So...
Yeah, I mean, what I could have done without on this film is, as I was saying, is the whole priestess drama bit in the middle.
Right.
I don't see the people who are going to be attracted by the horror elements and the Mondo elements getting anything like any satisfaction from, an administrative meeting between all the priestesses and working out what all the rules are and who's broken what rules or not, and falling in love and all this business.
What you're saying, Darren,
yes,
I'm reading you right. Cut that shit out. I want some more frog eating.
I could have done with some more horror elements. I could have done with them spiking at least one of the villagers. With one more villagers or something weird.
Yeah, I agree with you. I could have done more exorcism stuff and more of that kind of
more curse stuff.
Yeah. As opposed to the more kind of geeky Mondo. Although I won't lie, I mean,
keep it in. Yeah,
I do get a kick out of it. I have to admit, I know it's not cool in any way, shape, or form, but I'd be thinking if I didn't. That I stopped the film and said to my wife, you got to come see this.
No, I mean, I'm glad I've seen it, right? Yeah. And I'm glad I managed to sit through a man eating a mouse.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't like that bit at all, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad there's another.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, exactly, yeah. So I'm glad there's another Mondo animal cruelty film under my belt, and I can say, yeah, I've seen a man eat a mouse live.
Yeah.
Straight up. For no good fucking reason for the narrative.
Absolutely none. No.
That is there for no good fucking reason at all. That film does not benefit, other than, since, obviously, salaciousness, sensation value. That film does not benefit. The plot of the film benefits zero.
No.
In either version from that sequence.
Even greater.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, and it's what makes it a nasty fucking piece of work.
Perfect for Halloween.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Yes. So if you're a hostile Halloween man, as opposed to a Christopher Lee falling in love with the Chinese.
Oh,
Chancing. No, not Chancing.
Well,
Chang Sheng. No, not Chang Sheng. What's his fucking name? Whatever his fucking name is. Anyway. Yeah. Then, go for it.
But how about, here's a thing you can do, is if they do the
Chang Shan.
If they do the trick or treat thing around your version, you can,
little mice.
Well, yeah, you could do that as well. What I was going to say, if you've got some kids you don't like as well, is trigger it so when they open the door, a television plays that scene of the geek from Princess Luxgant, or you can get them some sweets, depending on.
Yeah, I will definitely not get into any trouble doing that.
No, it'll be fine. It's Halloween.
No. I'll have all my jaw won't be broken, my nose won't be broken. I'll still be alive next week if I do that, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
On that morbid note.
Oh, happy Halloween, everyone.
Yes, happy Halloween. Hope you all have lots of mice to eat.
Yes, frogs as well.
Yeah, frogs, mice. Yeah. Hope a woman with snakes for hair doesn't control a snake and bite you.
Oh, no. Yeah. And we'll be back with some slightly more conventional food, I suspect.
Yes.
In another month.
Yes.
All right.
So, Calan gaeaf hapus I chi gyd.
Na fe.